Happy Wednesday, writers! I know it's been an exceptionally long time since my last video, but there are reasons for that. I could go into them, but they would literally bore you to tears. Roland and I got married in July, so we had to go all the way to... We decided to get married in Australia, so we went over there. I was going to try and film that, but it's sort of hard to get ready for a wedding and sort of film everything, and time got away from me and I sort of lost track of time because it was quite an overwhelming experience because I had a lot of people in the junior suite that we had, and they were just sort of fussing over me, and I'm quite an introvert, so I just felt it was just very overwhelming. So I didn't end up filming anything. I filmed like a tiny portion and I was like, this isn't enough to be like a behind the scenes vlog of a wedding. So today I thought I'd start off this weekly vlog with an update of what I plan to do with my YouTube channel moving forward. At the moment it is a mixture of sort of those talking head writing tips videos and vlogging. And sort of creating this YouTube channel, I've realised a few things about myself. Even though I'm quite comfortable talking to the camera in this particular way, and it's because there's no specific structure to this. There is a structure, but there's nothing sort of set in concrete, like I have to say this in this way. And when I do those talking head writing tips videos, I sort of feel like I need to say things in a certain way in order for me to get my tips across to you in a way that's most helpful. And I've found over the months of doing these videos, I find that I keep putting them off, and I avoid recording and editing them, and it's because I don't enjoy it. But over the months I've discovered that I do love doing vlogs, these weekly style vlogs, and I have no problem talking and giving writing and tips around the business of writing during these vlogs, because it's more a relaxed style video, and I feel like I can be myself. I'm more comfortable doing these weekly vlogs in a sit down writing tips video. So what I've sort of realized is that I prefer talking about writing and the craft of writing and all of that through audio and blog posts. So this is what's prompted me to create the Indie Authorpreneur podcast, and that's where I will give specific tips on writing. And I've chosen to host it at SoundCloud at the moment. It isn't on iTunes or Stitcher or all those other podcasting platforms, because at the moment I'm fairly new to podcasting and I want to make sure that I have a really great quality podcast that's useful for you guys who choose to listen. So at the moment SoundCloud allows me to edit the tracks. It doesn't allow me to edit, it allows me to upload a new version of the track over the top of the existing one. It's either got something to do with the plan I've purchased, or perhaps this is just a feature of SoundCloud. I'm going back to a blog and I'm adding the podcast feature just so you can sort of listen to it on the go. You can listen to, you know, the podcast while you're on your morning commute, or you know, in the car, or whatever it is that you do throughout your day, or as you wash the dishes or something. Because I think that's really important, that I think about how people consume content and what's actually most practical, and what's most practical and what's most useful for the people who are searching for writing advice. So that's what made me steer across to doing a podcast. So what does this mean for this YouTube channel? I'm going to continue doing weekly vlogs, and I'm going to spin it to, you know, a week in the life of a writer. And in these vlogs, I will continue to share sort of writing tips and the business of writing and marketing advice in real time as I do it, because I think this is probably the most helpful, that I sort of am able to show you, this is what I'm doing, this is what's currently working, this is how it's not working, this is how I measure my result. And just so you guys can see, I sort of feel this is the best of both worlds. I can still continue this channel because I do enjoy being on YouTube, but I just need to do it in a way that I feel comfortable being me, and that you guys can get the most out of my videos. Hey, so today one of the things I need to do today is that I need to record a few parts of episode 9 of my podcast, mainly because in the video I actually reference the video itself. Like I say, after Like I say things like this video is for you instead of this episode is for you, and I also say in a previous video instead of a previous episode. So I have to either, usually if I can edit them out, the word video out, and it still makes sense, I keep it in, but in the conclusion I reference the description box below as well. So I need to re-record that because these things won't be available on iTunes and Stitcher when they eventually go to those platforms. So I need to re-record those sections of the episode, and I also want to re-record the introduction to the episode because there's a bit of background noise. I think it's actually noise from my top. So yeah, that actually came through on the microphone. So when I originally recorded the introduction on the microphone, I was just using this microphone on my desk, and this is the Samson Meteor microphone. It'll pick up sound from quite a large space, so it'll pick up noise from the people above me, rain on the window. Like, it's insane how much sound it'll pick up when it's recording. So I purchased this microphone to get it off the desk, so because I use a glass desk and it does, if I lean on it, it will squeak. So lifting it off the desk stops that sound from being picked up. And I've also put it a distance away from my mouth because it does pick up my breath and it doesn't sound nice. It just sounds creepy, and I have to edit it out all the time. And it sounds like I've got a serious respiratory problem because I'm sort of taking these deep breaths as I talk, and it's annoying because I spend a lot of time editing. So I'm just going to sort of experiment, and this is really what podcasting is when you first start out, as you experiment with different types of recording techniques. So basically, I got this microphone stand. This is as tall as it gets. It's about, I don't know, maybe 50 centimeters tall, and it's got a quite a heavy base, so it won't fall over. This was about 20 pounds, I think. I'm going to link it in the description box below. But so I got the microphone. It has quite a long cord, so I do wrap it around the microphone stand, and that's for noise purposes because I don't want this moving about while I'm recording. I also use headphones, and I've realised I don't have them, so I'm going to have to stop this and get my headphones. But I also use GarageBand, and it took me a long time to figure out how to use GarageBand to record a podcast. Not a long time, but I did spend quite a bit of time researching it. I looked at a playlist by Pat Flynn, and I've also looked into how to create a great podcast in podcast. There is actually a lot of videos below, so if you are interested in podcasting, I'll put a link below to these particular videos. It actually really helped me. They helped me figure out how to use GarageBand and how to get a good quality recording in GarageBand, because that's really important because there's no video element anymore. It's all audio, so it needs to be really good. So let's get started. So as you would have seen there, I do have what I need to say written down, and it's purely because it's the introduction to the podcast and I want to make sure that I get the wording exactly right. I don't quite read it, but it's there just in case I get lost or I forget what I need to say. But I've sort of practiced it enough times to sort of know it off by heart and to say it sort of with meaning, so it makes sense on the podcast. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go through and listen to what I've just recorded. I'm going to edit out any deep breaths. I'm going to see if actually having the microphone this far away actually works for me, and then I'll move on to the next section of the podcast. Yeah, so I'm actually quite happy with the way that particular recording session went. It's much better than the previous version. However, having the microphone this far far away from my mouth didn't actually do anything, didn't actually improve how it picks up my deep breaths. They were still there. I just need to accept that I'm going to have to be editing these deep breaths out of the podcast. Maybe it's just something that I have to particularly do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export it as an MP3 file, and I'm going to import it into the main episode file. Yes, that's my new intro recorded. Hello everybody. So this morning I started my working day off writing in this journal. This is a practice that's actually quite new to me. I mean, I've done journaling before, but I've never done journaling quite in this way. So yesterday I was listening to a podcast by Rachael Herron, and it's called How Do You Write? I'll put a link to it in the description box below. But basically the general gist of what she was saying about how she journals is she journals about what she plans on doing for that day in regards to writing, and it really keeps her accountable, because if you sort of write one day, I want to outline my next novel, and then you don't do it the next day, and you sort of say, well, yesterday I didn't work on, the outline for my new novel, and you say that several times in a row, it becomes like a huge accountability thing, and it motivates you to actually get the work done that you intend to do. I'm going to be real with you. Sometimes I really do struggle to write. Like, I get caught up in the business of writing, and I put off writing until another day, or until tomorrow, or until whenever I convince myself it's more of a convenient time. And part of it is to do with resistance. So this is something I need to overcome. And so yesterday I started that journal, and I sort of said I wanted to rewrite I added 3 extra scenes. I added more than 3 extra scenes to Immunity, but I had 3 left, and I sort of kept putting them off, and I just kept finding excuses to not write them. So I did this journaling technique, and yesterday I had such a good writing day. I felt like I was really productive, and the quality of the writing that I did was really good as well. I'm going to continue this journaling habit because it seems to work for me, but it's sort of too soon to say that it's working. But I did notice I did start journaling this time last year when I finished, and that helped me finish Immunity. So I'm wondering, there possibly might be something to this. So this is a habit I'm going to continue to do, and I'm just going to see whether it works, and I'll, keep you posted. Happy Friday, writers. So this morning I was going to attend a Google talk at the London head office, and it was by the director of Blade Runner. I actually decided against that for a number of reasons, and one of them being, the number one reason was that yesterday I had such a great writing and editing day with Immunity, and I sort of wanted to ride the success of that for as long as possible. So I decided to stay home and obviously continue working on Immunity. So today I'm going to work on getting the prologue ready so I can release it on my website as as teaser content, just so people can sort of have something to look forward to. I'm not just sort of constantly talking about Immunity, but I have something to show for it. So that's what I really want to do today, is sort of really work on perfecting the prologue. And then, well, it's not so much the prologue at the moment, it's just the very first scene of Immunity. So that's what I want to do today. This morning when I got up, not just this morning, but over the last few months, actually, I think it's been since 2013, I've been sort of toying with an idea for at the time it was like an epic fantasy sort of set in the medieval times. But a lot of what I do with my ideas that I get for books is I sort of think of them, and I have them sort of sitting in my brain almost, and I keep sort of chewing over it, and I add things to it, and I make them a little bit more complicated, and I make them more interesting. And then I get to a stage like I did this morning where I have to write it down, and I have to start fleshing out the story idea. That's what I want to do as well today. So this new novel, it'll be a part of a series. So it's now so the idea has evolved into a medieval historical romance. So it has a magic system, dragons, knights, all of those sort of medieval, sort of perhaps Arthurian cliches that you sort of see in those type of books. And it has a touch of time travel as well as a bit of science fiction as well. So I'm actually really excited to start outlining that book. I might be able to, providing that I do enough work between now and then and work on immunity, I might be able to start writing that book for NaNoWriMo. Maybe, maybe not, but we'll see. It depends how disciplined I am with my writing and managing these sort of multiple projects. So yeah, so today I thought I'd take you along with me and show you what a writing day does look like. I did intend for this weekly vlog to venture out of my sort of office, but this is what my week looks like. I do spend a lot of time sitting in the chair working on both my business and writing. So you are essentially getting a pretty accurate picture of what it is like to be a writer. So let's get started.